How is it possible to have two primetime games on national television be decided because a team just can't hold on to a two-position lead? First, it was the Ravens on Sunday night, and then one night afterward, like almost 24 hours afterward, the Bears do it. Like, is everybody just trying to out-Falcon the Falcons? Hey, leave the choking to us. Unless you're my fantasy football team. My fantasy football team was outstanding this week, or at least this past week. I was pretty much the only team of mine that won. I'm totally sane. I'm totally fine. I'm just as fine as Jalen Carter's face when he realized he got ejected for spitting at Dak's face. Okay, that's enough for me. Let's get to the video. Welcome back to Grizzly Talks Football. Ladies and gentlemen, we got the 2025's first NFL reactions, NFL Week 1 reactions. Had some crazy games, had some ugly ones too in between all that, but it was a pretty nice week. If you haven't already, make sure you look for the Season 2 playlist in the description so you can watch every single episode so you're all caught up. It's going to have more than 60 episodes, I can promise you that. You also have it for future episodes as well. Do not forget to hit the red subscribe button and hit the notification bell so you don't miss a single one of my videos, and it helps the channel a lot. Without further delay, let's go react to some Week 1 games, shall we? So the first game of the 2025 NFL season was a Thursday night matchup between NFC East rivals, the Dallas Cowboys and the Philadelphia Eagles, with the Eagles coming out on top 24-20. If you saw my Instagram post, I showed the players of the game for both teams on the graphic. I was trying to bring back an idea that was there 8 years ago, but they just never decided to bring it back. For the most part, it was pretty much all offense. Like, there was barely any defense this game. Like, Dak actually played pretty impressively. Like, I feel so bad for him. His receivers dropped a couple times. They let him down. And actually, Javonte Williams came back from the dead, had 2 touchdowns in an otherwise very productionless kind of day. Miles Sanders, however, 4 carries for 53 yards. I mean, that's pretty impressive. I think he had a long run in one of those. CeeDee Lamb actually led receiving with 7 catches for 110 yards, but he would have probably had 10 catches and a touchdown if he could just be clutch and catch the ball in the fourth quarter. And a little interesting that George Pickett's only got 3 catches in this game. I think Javonte Williams fumbled the ball one time. That was like the only turnover of the game, which the Eagles recovered. I'll get to their defense in a little bit. But really, only positive for the defense for the Cowboys was Marshawn Kneeland getting the only sack of the game. And also, Brandon Aubrey actually kicked a 53-yarder, so that was cool for him. For the Eagles, Jalen Hurts, very accurate through the air. He's more of a kind of accurate thrower quarterback, but he's more of a running back than anything with 2 rushing touchdowns. He and Saquon combined for 120 yards and 3 touchdowns in this game, which is quite insane, if I may say so myself. The Eagles' run game is going to be a little tough to stop. I mean, Saquon kind of dipped down in production, but he's still one of the best backs in the league. And of all people to lead receiving, it was Jahan Dotson with 3 catches for 59 yards. So he can ball. And the most surprising thing was that A.J. Brown, their top receiver, only had 1 catch. And that came in the fourth quarter. So pretty much there wasn't very many players, involved with tackles and everything. Zach Bond led the team in tackles. There was 1 fumble in the game, as I said before. Jahad Campbell forced a fumble, and it was recovered by Quinyon Mitchell. So Jahad Campbell's first big play as an Eagle. I sure hope Jahad Campbell gets a lot more reps, as a starting linebacker for the Eagles, in week 2. I gotta say, you can't really ask for a better start than this to an NFL season. Up next, we have the Friday night Brazil game in Sao Paulo. So we saw the Chargers actually beat the Chiefs 27-21. You let me down, Kansas City. You let me down. I picked you to lose your opener last year, and when I pick you to win your opener this year, you lose? And from the looks of it, the defense just couldn't stop the Chargers from getting on the board every quarter. I mean, for the Chiefs, it was a struggle fest in the first half for Patrick Mahomes, but then he started to pick things up and, be able to have a solid game. Able to throw a touchdown and even run for a touchdown in this game as well. And as you can already tell, Hollywood Brown was actually his favorite receiver in this game. Got 10 catches in this game for almost 100 yards. And the only receiver touchdown came from my man Travis Kelce, who ended up getting the touchdown that pretty much saved his stat line. He had like 1 catch for 10 yards early in the game, and then the fourth quarter he got a 37-yard touchdown catch. I also heard that Xavier Worthy got knocked out of the game. Hopefully it's nothing too serious. As for the defense, there were 3 sacks this game. 1 from George Karlaftis, who's still a beast, and there was also 2 from Drew Tranquill. Guy is such an underrated linebacker. I mean, with guys like Leo Chanel, Tranquil, and Nick Bolton, it doesn't look as intimidating as people think, but at the same time, it is Kansas City. Also, what the hell happened to Chris Jones? Did bro just take a snooze before the game? As for Chargers, I think it's safe to say Jim Harbaugh has definitely saved Justin Herbert's career. Like Patrick Mahomes, a very accurate game, 300 yards and 3 touchdown passes. I mean, they were throwing the ball a lot because they didn't run the ball a lot. I mean, run game, Kansas City's run defense is solid, so not very easy to run the ball on them. And receiver was led by Quentin Johnston. I freaking told y'all he was going to be good. 5 catches, 79 yards, and 2 touchdowns. And hey, at least the Keenan Allen connection for Justin Herbert still lives to this day in 2025. Only 2 seconds game, but from the looks of it, the defense actually did a pretty nice job of stopping Kansas City in the first half. And they just had a big enough lead to be able to hold on and beat the Chiefs in the second half. I just wanted to showcase Dick the kicker since, I have him as my kicker in fantasy. Little shocking result if you ask me about this game. I was expecting the Chiefs to win a close one, but it ended up being LA Chargers. Next up, we got the Dolphins getting shadowed by Daniel Jones and the Indianapolis Colts. I should have went with my gut and picked Indianapolis. I knew they had a solid good team. It was just the quarterback was the biggest question, and I think Daniel Jones has ended the QB situation. I mean, for the Dolphins, Tua just had an awful game. Like, he did throw a touchdown at least, but he did throw 2 picks. I know Zach Wilson played less, but Zach Wilson outperformed Tua. Don't be surprised if Zach Wilson starts for the Dolphins at some point. Probably in week 4 or 5. And also, that gets me wondering, they threw the ball 31 times, but then they only ran the ball, 12 times. And HM was by far the most productive runner. So much so that he actually had the only touchdown in the game on the receiving end. I mean, both Wilson and Tagovailoa spread the wealth because a lot of players had catches. The most catches somebody had was actually 4. I don't know who on Indianapolis Dolphins just couldn't stop, but Bradley Chubb got the only sack on this game, and that was pretty much it. And also Tyrell Johnson, Ifeatu Melifonwu, Jordan Burroughs, and Micah Fitzpatrick were very active in the tackling game. And for Indianapolis, let's be honest, this was a very much career game for Daniel Jones. I mean, come on, this was probably the best game of his career. 270 yards, a very accurate game, and a touchdown through the air, and he also ran for 2 touchdowns. I mean, Jonathan Taylor led rushing. 71 yards. He and DJ Giddens were pretty productive. Michael Pittman led receiving with 6 catches, 80 yards, and the only receiving touchdown. But hey, Tyler Warren getting 7 catches is a real good sign for that first-round pick tight end. I mean, it was just a fantastic game for Indianapolis' defense. I mean, they got 3 sacks and 2 interceptions from Leatu Latu and Cam Bynum. Even without EJ Speed, Nick Cross and Zaire Franklin doing their thing. I'm afraid they are no longer suspects. They are actually legitimate. Man, what a game for Shane Steichen. He needed this to keep his job. I also forgot to mention, Nick Cross forced a fumble that was recovered by ex-Dolphin, Xavier Howard. Up next, we had a little nice shootout here in the early slate. We had the Steelers outlasting the Jets, 34-32. I mean, offensively, this was just a fantastic game. Can't say the same for the defenses, though. As you can see from the rushing game, it was kind of non-existent. I mean, not a very productive day running the ball for the Steelers. But throwing the ball, outstanding for Aaron Rodgers. Hey, hate to say it, 250 yards, 4 touchdowns. He had an absolutely outstanding game. And he actually kind of spread the wealth as well. 4 different players with touchdowns, including Jonnu Smith, Jaylen Warren out of the backfield, and even Calvin Austin had one. And also a guy by the name of Ben Skowronek. Ironic that a lot of people who bet on Skowronek to get a touchdown actually got paid a lot. Usually their defense is just fine, but Steelers, man, Highsmith had a sack, but TJ Watt had some good plays as well. This defense definitely got a lot to work on. For the Jets, Justin Fields is kind of on a career renaissance the past 2 years. I mean, he did throw a touchdown, a beautiful ball to Garrett Wilson, who actually led receiving with 7 catches, almost 100 yards in a score. Breece Hall is officially back, 100-yard rusher. Justin Fields ran for 2 touchdowns, with the other rushing touchdown coming from Braylon Allen. I mean, for the Jets defense, Quincy Williams, and Will McDonald had sacks, with McDonald having 2 of them. But other than that, very terrible defensively, or at least performance-wise. I mean, for being a defensive coordinator for Detroit, before you take this job, you would expect this defense to do well, but it's the same shit as last year with Detroit. That's why Ben Johnson was so good, because his offense literally had to outscore their opponent because Aaron Glenn was the defensive coordinator, and his team completely self-destructed on defense. How this guy was able to get a head coaching job is beyond me. The benefit of playing weak teams. Cute. Next up, we have the Panthers lose it to the Jags 26-10. I mean, it was just a very sloppy game for Carolina. Bryce Young had a completely awful game, just like Tua. 1 touchdown, 2 picks. There was also a fumble lost, I'm very sure. They had 3 turnovers this game. Rushing wasn't terrible. In fact, Chuba Hubbard combined for almost 90 yards and 1 receiving touchdown as far as total yards for him. And even Ted McMillan had a nice game with 5 catches for 68. I do worry about the placement for Hunter Renfrow and Xavier Legette. Only 5 combined touches between the two? Interesting. Defense is still ass. I mean, J.C. Horn had a spectacular one-handed interception, but that was pretty much the only highlight for this team. I mean, Christian Roseboom and Trayvon Mulray did well in tackles. For the Jaguars, by the way, I heard that Tank Bigsby was traded to the Eagles after this game. The strong become stronger, apparently. Trevor Lawrence, I mean, he had a decent game, 178 yards, a touchdown, and an interception is nice, but not ideal. Brian Thomas had the only rushing touchdown, but I think Travis Etienne is officially back. He's always been good. He just had a down year last year. I think that 2024 season is becoming more of an outlier every time we think about it. Brenton Strange, my go-to guy for the Pro Bowl for the Jags. Travis Hunter is doing pretty nice for himself as well, with the most catches on the team with 6. What did he play, like 33 offensive snaps and maybe 6 defensive snaps? Maybe he might get more significant time this time around in week 2. I guess we'll see. Dwayne Smoot got the only sack. There were 2 interceptions in this game, and the guys who got picks combined to get a 3rd turnover. Olawokon with the forced fumble, and Jordan Lewis with the recovery. How about Cam Little making 4 field goals this game? Leon Cohen's first game as the Jags head coach, ends in a dub. Good going, brother. So Carolina's not as back as we originally thought. Gotcha. To be honest, quiet with you, I don't know what else I expected from this game. Cardinals beat the Saints 20-13. I gotta be honest, this was a little less ugly than I originally thought, but it was kind of still ugly if you think about it. Saints were kind of the better team this time around, but they choked in the end. Kyler Murray actually had a pretty accurate game, 21 of 29. He had 2 touchdown passes in this game. Rushing him was pretty solid. James Conner, not as productive as he was last year, and Trey Benson, wow, came out of nowhere to get a pretty nice 8-yard to carry. Well, at least for James Conner's case, he got a receiving touchdown. And Marvin Harrison, the connection is there. Alright then. So he had 5 catches, 71 yards, and a score. And even Trey McBride is still doing Trey McBride things. 6 catches for 61 yards. And surprisingly for the defense's case, they didn't really do much except for Barrett Brown getting a sack. I mean, Josh Sweat pretty much didn't really do anything. And of course for New Orleans, Spencer Rattler looks sloppy at times, but then other times it's yikes. Sometimes he looks pretty good, but then other times he looks yikes, a little ugly. 200 yards passing, Alvin Kamara scored the only touchdown in the game. Juwan Johnson's still good as a tight end, he catches 76 yards, and surprisingly no Taysom Hill. Oh yeah, by the way, Will Johnson had a nice play, I forgot to mention him, but he knocked down Chris Olave and Buddy was slow to get up. And surprisingly for the Saints defense case, they got 5 sacks in this game. I mean, Granderson had 1.5, Pete Werner had 1, even Alontae Taylor had 1. I think the Saints were the better team in this game, but Arizona still came away with a win. I wasn't kidding when I said this game was going to be ugly. And somehow I found an even uglier game in the NFC East as well. Giants lose to the Commanders 6-21. 21-6 should I say. Gist of the matter is, the Giants still suck. I will say, Russell Wilson's stranglehold on the starting QB job is starting to run thin. We also got to see Cam Scadaboo play in this game, and he actually didn't do that bad. I mean, stats say otherwise, but he was running people over. I think Malik Neighbors is miserable again. I mean, he's the leading receiver every single time. It was a pretty okay game for the defense. I mean, Abdul Carter got his first credited sack. I mean, he got a half a sack, but still, he combined with Kayvon Thibodeau. And Brian Burns finally emerged as the Giant, getting 2 sacks in this game. Oh, you know who I forgot to mention on the Colts? Spencer Schrader. He kicked 4 field goals as well. For Washington, Jane Daniels didn't exactly have the best game, but he was still productive. Bill Krusky Merritt had a rushing touchdown, and so did Deebo Samuel. In fact, Depot was kind of the main guy out there. I mean, 7 catches for 77 yards. He was the main receiving target for Jaden Daniels. You kind of also had to worry about Terry McLaurin only having 2 catches this game. And Zach Ertz actually had the only touchdown on the receiving end. Defense, for the most part, statistics doesn't exactly tell the whole story. I mean, 2 sacks from Armstrong and Payne, but defense got some key stops when needed to. They didn't allow a single touchdown, I think. Giants, you better thank the stars that Greg Gano exists. Here we go. Yep, Buccaneers take down the Falcons in Atlanta 23-20. You've been waiting for this one. As far as defensively, Falcons defense actually did a pretty good job of handling the running game. It was just taking down Baker Mayfield was our biggest issue. 200 total yards for Baker. He had 3 passing touchdowns on the game. Bucky Irvin got a receiving touchdown, and Emeka Egbuka emerged on the scene with having 2 touchdown catches. We really let Emeka Egbuka get 2 touchdown catches on us. I mean, tackling game wasn't terrible. I mean, Hassan Reddick being productive outside of the Jets. Not exactly new here. For the Falcons, Michael Penix actually played well. He actually balled out 300 yards. He had a touchdown pass and a touchdown run. The touchdown pass was at the beginning of the game. The touchdown run was on the end of the game. Russian offense otherwise was pitiful. Bijan had a 50-yard reception for a touchdown to start the game, and then he finished with 100 receiving yards. I mean, Drake London was still good. Kyle Pitts finally emerging as a reliable target. I mean, this is kind of a different Atlanta team. We actually had 1 sack of our own. Billy Bowman and Devin Diablo, whoever his first name is. Other than that, from what I've heard, Xavier Watts had a really good game as well. Billy Bowman had a solid game. Jace Pierce got some pressures also. This 2025 draft class could be something special. I say could be. But Jesus Christ, I feel so bad for Young Waku, man. We had this guy for like, what, 5 or 6 years, and he's been so solid for us. Oh, man. And it's kind of been downhill since. I hope we bounce back quick, because we got the Vikings on Sunday Night Football next week. Coming back from watching last night's game, I am very scared. Now, here was a game that was such bullshit. Like, this could have went either way. This could have went my way, but of course, it didn't. Bengals barely beat the Browns 17-16, and the Bengals should have lost this game. As far as the Bengals was concerned, it was a really quiet offensive game. I mean, Joe Burrow had a touchdown pass. Chase Brown ran for a touchdown as well. That touchdown pass went to Noah Fant. And you're going to wonder, what the heck is going on in Cincinnati? Like, T. Higgins had 3 catches and Jamar Chase only had 2. It was really because of the defense. This was really a defensive battle because I think the Bengals defense had 2 sacks, one of them coming from Trey Hendrickson. They had not 1, but 2 interceptions in this game. And unfortunately for Joe Flacco, those were off of drops. Other than the 2 picks, he actually had not a terrible game throwing the football because the running game was non-existent at all. At least Rocket Sanders got a rushing touchdown. The only touchdown pass of the game actually went to Cedric Tillman. I heard Jerry Jeudy kind of struggled with the catches there. Dylan Sampson had 8 catches. Like, is he the best running back in the Cleveland right now? And of course, my man Harold Fannin outshining David Njoku right now. 7 catches for 68 yards. I told you, this guy was going to be a beast. And turns out I was right about, this being a very much of a defensive game. Myles Garrett was absolutely wreaking havoc on the offensive line. It's really shocking to hear that Cincinnati's defense won in the game. For the first time in a long time, you got to wonder what they are going to fix on offense. And also the Browns have got to limit the turnovers because they should have won this game. Most definitely. So I think this was the final game of the 1 o'clock slate, with the Raiders actually beat the Patriots 20-13. I'll be honest, I didn't really pay too much attention to this game. For the Raiders, it was pretty much all passing. At least Jetty got a touchdown. I mean, Geno absolutely lit up the stat line as far as yards go. 360 yards, fortunately a touchdown and a pick. And of course, receiver was led by Brock Bowers with 100 yards on 5 catches. Jacoby Myers was very active. I mean, Dante Thornton had a nice catch. Dre Tucker had a long touchdown catch. Even Michael Mayer's getting some touches. And believe it or not, the Raiders defense actually played well. They got 4 sacks and an interception from Isaiah Polamau. They actually got to Drake May and hit him 9 times. That's not to say the rushing game sucked for New England as well, because it did. Drake May was literally trying to play hero ball all game. And safe to say, the Bengals offensive line and the Patriots offensive line are hot ass. A little under 100 yards less than Geno Smith. Same touchdown interception thing, but no rushing touchdown to show for. The leader receiving was actually Keyshawn Butte, who had 6 catches for 100 yards. Oh yeah, Demario Douglas had the only touchdown of the game for New England. And in fact, the Patriots defense kind of had the same thing. 4 sacks and an interception from Jalen Hawkins, and also Harold Landry has arrived in New England. I think both these teams played well, but as we always say, there can only be one winner. And next up, we had the 4 o'clock slate with the 49ers were able to edge out the Seahawks 17-13 with a clutch throw from Brock Purdy. And then the defense got a huge stop. Or in this case, a turnover. Rushing game was okay, but Brock Purdy definitely struggled with the turnovers. He did throw 2 touchdowns at 280 yards, but yeah, turnover problem. The leader of the receiving game was actually Ricky Pearsall. He definitely burst on the scene with the 4 catches and 100 yards. And both of the tight ends were able to get touchdowns. George Kittle got one, but then left the game to a hamstring injury. He'll be missing some pretty good time for them. And then at the end of the game, Dave Tonjes mossed Tariq Woolen for another huge touchdown. I saw the catch. It was beautiful. This guy is definitely a hero in the Bay Area. The Niners defense actually forced 2 fumbles as well. Sure, it doesn't look like too much, but until you start to realize Nick Bosa had a strip sack and recovery. And also Marquez Siegel got a fumble recovery off the strip by Sam Okwuegbunam. I definitely butchered that. And for the Seahawks, from what I saw, Sam Darnold was just playing accuracy game sort of the thing. You know, he was trying to make all the right reads. It was just a shame that he just couldn't come back. Kenneth Walker was disappointing again. Charbonnet had the only rushing touchdown, I think that was the only touchdown in the game. At least for Seattle standards. And also Justice Smith-Njigba had pretty much all the catches or something like that. All the yards, all the catches. You know, Tariq Woolen didn't play his best game, but Seattle defense wasn't bad either. I mean, Julian Love had a sack, interceptions by Ernest Jones and Josh Jobe. And you know something? They only got 1 sack, but they hit Brock Purdy 8 times. So both defenses actually played very well. Safe to say, Cooper Kupp isn't exactly the best, the same player he was in LA. Only 2 catches, though. That's interesting. A teaching moment for both offenses to get better. Brock Purdy, limit the turnovers. Sam Darnold, I need to see that Pro Bowl level from you. Speaking of defensive games, this was another one with the Titans losing to the Broncos by a score of 20-12. This was definitely close. I knew it was going to be close. I knew it was going to be low scoring. A lot of defense was going to be involved. And I gotta be honest, I can't believe Cam Ward and Tony Pollard are the only 2 good players on that offense. Because for the most part, the rest of the team sucks. I mean, Cam Ward was running for his life. He was making some pretty good passes from what I've seen. Calvin Ridley definitely let him down. There was a couple of other drops as well. Yeah, it was just an ugly game for Tennessee. The only sack of the game for Tennessee was courtesy of Jeff Simmons, and then there were actually 2 interceptions. Roger McCreary had a fantastic interception when he took the ball away from a receiver. And even Xavier Woods had an interception as well. Very big struggling offensive game for sure. Just be lucky Joey Sly exists. For the Broncos, yeah, like I said, Bo Nix did not have a great game. You know, he threw a touchdown to Courtland Sutton, but he also threw 2 picks. RJ Harvey struggled for most of the game, but he had a nice long run to save his stat line. And also J.K. Dobbins had the only other touchdown in this game for Denver. Talanoa Hufanga actually played very well in the tackling game, and this defense got 6 sacks. Yeah, you heard that right. They got 6 sacks in this game. 12 quarterback hits. Man, that Tennessee offensive line sucks. I also forgot to mention Marvin Mims muffed a punt. Are the Broncos going to pull the same shit as last year? I sure hope not. I hope Bo Nix plays well, way better in week 2. Up next, we had a game where the Packers controlled the entire game. They beat the Lions 27-13. Jared Goff was 31-39. He was accurate, but yeah, 1 touchdown and interception as well didn't really help. And the rushing game sucked also. The only touchdown he really threw was actually to the Tesla. He had a huge and outstanding one-handed catch that I saw on the sideline. That was beautiful. And the receiver was actually led by Sam Laporta, who had 6 catches for 79 yards. And even Jahmyr Gibbs had 10 catches out of the backfield? There's something definitely wrong with that offensive coordinator. I can assure you he's not Ben Johnson. And for the most part, the defense still sucked. Not going to talk much about him. This was a really good game for the Packers. Like, Jordan Love was making some good throws. He threw 2 touchdowns, was pretty accurate. Josh Jacobs even had a rushing touchdown. Golden had 2 catches before he kind of exited the game with an injury. He was kind of a liability otherwise. And the only touchdowns went to Tucker Kraft and Jaden Reed, with Romeo Dobbs leading receiver with 2 catches for 68 yards. They were actually 2 big catches for him. And actually the defense had 4 sacks in this game. You know, Devontae Wyatt had 1. Parsons had his first one as a Packer. Rashawn Gary 1.5 when he combined with LeVan Ness. And even they got an interception from Evan Williams. Wait, so you mean to tell me the Packers, the secondary, is actually going to be good this year? Well, I think this game definitely showed us that coordinators are extremely important. And the final 4 o'clock game was the Texans losing to the Rams in a very ugly game, 14-9, very defensive battle. Probably the best example of one for week 1 this season. C.J. Stroud definitely struggled. I definitely overestimated Houston's abilities. Nick Chubb is back though, and he's doing pretty nice. No receiver went above 50 yards, like the most was 32 for Jaden Higgins. Well, at least the defense showed up. They got 3 sacks, and then they also forced a fumble. Shire forced it out, and Daniel Hunter made the recovery. And that was their only forced turnover of the game. For the Rams, it was just fundamentals for Stafford. He was doing very nicely on the accuracy, 250 yards and a touchdown. Kyren Williams doing Kyren Williams things. Puka Nacua doing Puka Nacua things, 10 catches for 130 yards. He's back. And Devontae Adams had a pretty solid game as well, no? 4 catches for 51 yards. Helped me win my fantasy game this week. But I also need to discuss this Rams defense though too. Ram Fisk got a fumble recovery at the end of the game from Ogunbowale. He got stripped for a big loss. As in a turnover. Landman forced it out and Fisk got the recovery. There was also an interception by Kobe Durant. Both teams' defenses played phenomenal, but the offenses definitely struggled. And I'll say it first, the Rams' offense was just better this game. Now we get back to some bangers as offensively. Somehow, some way, the Buffalo Bills were able to beat the Ravens after being down 15 in the 4th quarter, 41-40. Optional defense at its finest. I don't know what happened for Baltimore. I mean, Lamar Jackson had an impressive game, 280 yards, 3 total touchdowns. Derrick Henry had an impressive game as well, 80 carries, 169 yards, 2 touchdowns. The only thing that stopped him from having one of the best games in week 1 that I've seen in a long time was the fumble. Zay Flowers also doing Zay Flowers things with 7 catches, almost 150 yards in the score. DeAndre Hopkins had a really nice one-handed catch also. Yeah, we can already tell they don't really throw the ball too much because they got a running back and quarterback, and they also got Derrick Henry. Yeah, as I said, besides the sack by Mata BK and Cal Hamilton getting the first fumble, defense for the most part pretty underwhelming. As far as the Bills, Josh Allen, spectacular game. 400 yards, 2 touchdowns through the air, and 2 rushing touchdowns as well. And also James Cook had the other rushing touchdown. And the 2 touchdown passes went to Dalton Kincaid. Welcome back, brother. And there was also one to Keon Coleman, somehow. So, is Keon Coleman actually good? Big game defensively for Buffalo as well. They had 2 sacks. Ed Oliver punched the ball out. It was recovered by Terrell Bernard. It was the Derrick Henry fumble. You better thank the heavens that Matt Prater could still play, because Tyler Bass was actually injured before this game. You thought this comeback was bad. Wait till you see the Monday night one. Speaking of which, the final game for week 1 was where the Vikings came back from 11 points down to stun Chicago in Soldier Field 27-24. You guys know something? J.J. McCarthy struggled for the first 3 quarters, or actually really the first half, because then he started balling out otherwise. And then all of a sudden the 4th quarter happens, he flips the switch, and he starts scoring touchdowns left and right. He was involved with all 3 touchdowns that the Vikings had this game. McCarthy ran for a touchdown, and he threw 2 touchdowns to Justin Jefferson and Aaron Jones. And Jalen Nailor even had a nice catch too. Defensively, Javon Hargrave actually balled out with 2 sacks. And believe it or not, Tavier Thomas actually forced a fumble that was recovered by Jay Ward in the game, so that at least they have a turnover to go off of. Also, Will Reichert, hell of a 59-yarder in that at the end of the first half. For the Bears, they definitely need to close out the games, but for the most part, Bill Johnson's offense is starting to really work out for Caleb Williams. He's not getting sacked as much, and he's doing pretty well for himself. 2 total touchdowns, 1 passing, 1 rushing. And that touchdown pass actually went to Rome Odunze. If only he didn't have a brain fart, like at the final 2 minutes of the game. If he onsides this kick, they don't have a chance to really hold the ball until the 2-minute warning already passed. And the leader receiver was actually DJ Moore, 3 catches for 68 yards. He also has some carries in the backfield for some reason. And to think the Bears defense was actually playing well the first 3 quarters, 3 sacks and an interception. That was Nashawn Wright returning it to the house as well. Then all of a sudden, 4th quarter, they completely fold. Didn't help that this guy missed a field goal as well. That was a big difference in the game also. Oh, it could have been Chicago. You'll have to, close out the game next time in week 2. And that does it for my week 1 reactions. Good luck next week to all of you. And that will actually also end this episode of Grizzly Talks Football. I'm 1-0 in fantasy football. Great. Anyways, if you enjoyed this episode, make sure you give this a big damn thumbs up. Hit the red subscribe button and hit the notification bell so you don't miss a single one of my videos. This is the Grizz signing off for now, and until next time, I will see you guys later. Peace, love, keep the Grizzly vibes with you at all times. Take care.